With the arrival of summer and the high heat, the chances of your fragrance becoming cloying or a nuisance or just straight up choking somebody out goes up. Everybody knows the cologne guy. He's the guy that enters a room and everybody starts gasping for breath. Flowers over here die, and he starts screaming in the back, all because he decided to take a bath in jupe before he came. You don't necessarily have to stop wearing fragrance, but you do need to be more considerate with your choices and more mindful of your sprays. Today, I've put together a list of the most well-constructed fragrances for the summertime, and then you too can avoid getting the side eye from your coworkers like, dude, really? What's going on YouTube? Tony here. Welcome to episode 3 on the Pulse Points channel. Today I'm helping you tackle the dog days of summer. Here in Texas that can mean upwards of triple digit temperatures. The fragrances on this list still smell good, but prevent you from being overbearing to those around you. Got this list broken up into 3 categories: work, casual, and date, and they're not in any particular order. There's a couple of things that I look for in a work fragrance. One, it has to last me all day. That's 8 to 12 hours. The second thing that fragrance needs to be is a people pleaser. If you're around people, you don't want anything that's too challenging, too thick, too heavy, or something too weird. And lastly, you want something that is more of a personal scent, something that's a little closer to the skin, that's not necessarily going to push out and invade somebody else's space. You want a nice little bubble around you. I have 5 scents that meet those criteria in my summer rotation. The first, Dior Homme Eau. Dior Homme Eau is more of a flanker to the original Dior Homme, even than the sport of the cologne version. It's lighter, it's fresher, one that is just more suited for the warmer weather. It has the iris that Dior Homme is known for, but makes it lighter and fresher with a beautiful damp coriander that's lightly sweet. This scent is backed up by amber and cedar, and that combo is going to carry you throughout the day. This lasts about 10 hours on my skin pretty consistently, so it gets me through a work day. Very professional option for the summer, Dior Homme Eau. Now, the second fragrance on this list is from the house of YSL, and it's simply L'Homme. For me personally, this is one of the best introductions for a fragrance in the entire fragrance game. It's a fresh ginger and bergamot combo with some subdued spices. Kind of gives you an apple pie like vibe, spiced cider or something like that, and what I would describe as a wonderfully executed violet leaf. Violet leaf is one of those notes that can be absolutely gorgeous if done right, and this fragrance does it perfectly. To me, this is dressed up, a bit trendy maybe, fashion forward if you will, and in a professional environment. Absolutely one of the best fragrances for men on the market. Next up, another popular fragrance. To me, this is the quintessential all-season fragrance. This is for the guy who doesn't want a whole bunch of different bottles, just want one good one. From the house of Chanel. This goes by Blue Day Chanel. You get a little bit of everything with this one. It has citruses, it has woods, it has spices, a little bit of sweetness. This one is a very good performer. It lasts all day. And again, just having that little tinge of sweetness makes this one a very good option for the high heat. Next on my list, I'm going back to the house of Dior, and this is Dior Homme Sport. This is a vintage bottle. They've just re-released this fragrance, and I hear that it's totally reconstructed. It smells different. This formulation is a very uplifting, effervescent, fizzy Amalfi lemon and ginger combo. This has almost no sweetness in it, which again, the low sweetness makes it good for the high heat. and last and last and last. I usually get about 13 to 14 hours with this on my skin, and that's excellent for a light summery fragrance. A very nice option from Dior Homme Sport. One of the issues with the fragrances on this list is they're all good, and because they're all good, they're very popular. If you want something that's a little more exclusive, maybe something a little nicer, higher quality than these, I would go for an option from the House of Creed like Green Irish Tweed. Green Irish Tweed is another classic in the men's game. It's been out since like 1985, so it's not necessarily a new fragrance, but still relevant. This one is reminiscent of Cool Water when you first spray it, and then they quickly go into different directions. There's a gap in performance and quality. This one starts out fresh and green. This one has a ton of notes, but the major players in here is going to be violet leaf, Tweed's signature ambergris. The woods in this are very smooth. There's some sandalwood in the base of this that turns this fragrance from being uplifting and bright to something woody and creamy in the middle. This is another well executed violet leaf. You can't miss with anything from the House of Creed, especially during the summer. These next fragrances are more casual options outside of work, weekends, during the day, running errands, things of that nature. First up is from the house of Versace, and it's Versace's Pour Homme. This one has two notes that are perfect for summer. Neroli and lemon. This one is slightly floral and slightly aquatic in the mid. Floral, but not in a feminine way, in a masculine way. In the base, you'll get some woods, and it's sweetened up with some tonka bean. Just a classic in the men's game, Versace's Pour Homme. Another scent that is pretty popular, at least in the fragrance community, it is. And that is Tommy Bahama Sensual St. Bart's. This one has a adult beverage kind of feel to it, very tropical like fragrance. Imagine a drink by the pool with an umbrella in it, like a margarita. This one is a eau de cologne concentration. It's sweet, but it's very transparent and light because you don't have a lot of fragrance oil in this scent. So it's one of the lowest concentrations of fragrance that you can actually buy. So you can actually go crazy with the sprayer on this, and you're not going to offend anybody. With that said, it actually performs pretty good. I recently wore this to a water park, and 4 hours in, I could still smell it on the back of my hand. Not bad from the house of Tommy Bahama. Next up on my list of casual fragrances is from the house of Issey Miyake, and it's one of their summer editions, and it's 2014 Lotus. This one smells a lot like the original, but it takes the original's opening, recreates it with, instead of having the citrus being yuzu, they use a very bitter pineapple kiwi blend. Instead of in the mid having spices, they use a very transparent coriander. If you've noticed that a couple of these fragrances have coriander in the middle. Coriander is another really good note, and an aquatic. It gives it a little depth and a little sweetness, and a lot of times comes off watery. So this one is very good, especially in the dry down. If you've ever smelled coriander, if you like the smell of coriander, this will be a good one. Next up, from the house of Lacoste, and it's Lacoste Red or Style and Play, but not the one that's solid red. This one has a gradient on the bottle, and this is a fruity musk blend that's green up top. And this has a unique note of thuja. I've never seen that in another fragrance before. The blend of the crisp green apple up at the top with that thuja, which is, I think, in the cedar family. It's just a beautiful, beautiful opening. And this dries down to a very clean vetiver and musk blend. Perfect for summer. This has sweetness, but the sweetness kind of fades and it's just clean. You're left clean smelling after that. And as you can see, this is probably my third bottle of this, and that one's about empty too, so about time to re-up. And rounding out my casual rotation is Nautica Voyage. This is probably, yeah, without question, probably the strongest of the casual scents. I wear this one when I'm outdoors, if I'm playing golf, or I know I'm going to be gone doing something sports related. It starts out kind of harsh actually. This tries to interpret the salt of the sea, and so you got a really salty note that dissipates fairly quickly, and you're just going to be left with a clean, watery, aquatic scent. Now, this next category of fragrance is a little difficult to kind of pinpoint some fragrances for. Traditionally, your more sensual or date night fragrances are usually darker, but I think I found a couple of fragrances that do a good job of taking some of those darker notes and putting them in a fresher package. With that, let's start out with my first fragrance on this date night list. It's from the house of Vince Camuto, and it's called Vince Camuto Solare. Now this one is interesting, as in it has a very distinctive sugar note. And when I say sugar, I mean like a granulated sugar, like in what you would find in like an orange Skittle, or those gummies, orange slice gummies with a granulated sugar around the outside. If you ever had those, it's reminiscent of that. And surprisingly, that doesn't, in this fragrance, it doesn't come off casual or playful. The composition comes across elegant, perfect for date night, suit and tie, nice restaurant. A lot of sweetness in this, but not too heavy where you couldn't do this on a summer night. Second date fragrance is one of my all-time favorite scents. It's from the house of Chanel. It's called Allure Homme Edition Blanche. It's a light take on an oriental fragrance. This has a Sicilian lemon, what I would call sensual notes, spices and vanilla. That's going to take you from the opening all the way to the end. And in the background, you have some smooth sandalwood and a transparent cedar note. And that blend of those notes are just very seductive in my opinion. One of my favorites. I think the wife really loves this one on me as well. It's one of the only fragrances that she consistently compliments me on when I wear. The next fragrance on this list is from the house of YSL, and it's sadly a discontinued scent, but I have seen bottles floating around on the web. I actually bought this one in person in store, and it's called M7 Fresh. Now this is a 2004 release. It's a citrus, ginger, and oud combo. And if you've ever smelled oud before, oud is usually very dark, and it is sensual at times, but a very challenging note. One used in high-end perfumery historically, but now you see a lot of designer houses having their interpretation of an oud fragrance. This was a 2004 release, so this was one of the first ones that came out that was attempting to be a wearable, light, fresher oud. And it comes across very elegant, even more so than a suit tie. This is like a tuxedo. This is a very upscale, formal event fragrance. Gorgeous blend. The oud in this isn't challenging at all. If you've smelled oud and ran the other way, this is one that's, I mean, like the name says, it's fresh. Ahead of its time, I think, too, from the house of YSL. M7 Fresh. And to round out this list, we're going to go to the house of Thierry Mugler Ultra Zest. You're going to get a couple types of orange in this. Tangerine and blood orange, backed up with a slightly oriental vibe. You're going to have some caramel, some vanilla, and like some coffee, I think, and some tonka bean. The dry down on this thing is heavenly. So I think it'd be perfect for a daytime date. Be doing lunch or brunch or something like that out on the patio beautiful fragrance for something like that. Ultra Zest. That rounds out my list. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this list if you have some of these fragrances. And as always, if you feel compelled to do so, please like and subscribe. And until episode 4, peace.